All right, greetings from Orlando, Florida. I'm in Orlando, Florida today. Gonna head out on a cruise tomorrow. Gonna be here with some good friends, Rick Altman, at the Presentation Summit cruise. And so I'll be cruising with some of the top PowerPoint and presentation designers in the world. But so excited for that. Hey, if you're watching on social media, do us a favor, right? Hit share, subscribe, and like. And we would love for you to do that. Thank you for everybody who's out there helping out in this beautiful, amazing mission. And speaking of this beautiful, amazing mission, I've got this next gentleman. I met him at the CAPS convention, and he's been a sponsor for NSA Thrive and NSA Influence. And one of his top things is here. Actually, I have some funny notes for him. He's the managing director at Speaker Videos, a video marketing company for speakers, helps speakers generate 100 million plus views or more. And he's also an expert at SCC, stealing chocolates and cupcakes from his mom's bakeries. uh, his nickname is Happy, so let's bring in the one and only Happy. Hey, Happy, how are you doing? Right?
I'm blessed, full of life, and the last time I checked, I'm handsome.
You're a handsome, a beautiful man. And have you ever seen the movie Pretty Woman, Happy?
I have not.
So in Pretty Woman, right, the guy Richard Gere says, we need more sucking up," and he goes, "You're a strong and powerful man." He goes, "No, not me, her. Suck up to her," right? So,
I
oh
love
my
it.
gosh. So Happy, thank you so much. It's so great to get a chance to meet you. Happy was one of the first who was chatting along in the WhatsApp line while I got stuck in an airport in Miami. And Happy also made me my own custom video on the way to there. So let's take a moment to do this. Happy, for my friends who don't know you, take a moment to tell people who you are and what you do.
So, hello everyone. My name is real name is Vaibhav. Of course, difficult for you to pronounce. So, my nickname is Happy, and I'm happy to be listening and talking to you. I mean, I think I'm talking. You're the one doing the listening. But anyways, I run a TV show in Nepal's national television. I was a speaker who has spoken to students from 54 different countries, virtually and in person. And I built my entire speaking business using content and videos coming from a little city in a little country called Nepal. And while I did it for myself, I then made it a mission to help other speakers use videos to grow their speaking business. Long story short, we have generated over 100 million views for speakers in total, not 100 million for every speaker, but of course in total, which has led to tons of engagements coming from them. And at the same time, we have generated over 5,000 videos. I have done a ton of iterations. I say it with a lot of grace and humility. I think I understand short form videos for speakers better than almost anybody out there because I've tried to figure out so much about it. Along with that, I'm also an expert at SCNC, that's stealing chocolates and cupcakes from my mom's bakery. And I unfortunately have a disease called the G's syndrome. And what that means is joyful energy and excitement zest syndrome. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm here to have fun.
Well, thank you, Happy. And I don't know if you knew this, but recently I posted I will be the MC this year at a special event at Nepal. And there's a Nepalese event that I'll be the MC for in Seattle. So you might be
Oh.
able to watch that virtually. I'll have to check and see what they're going to do with that, but I will share more of a little bit about that. Hey, do me a
I
favor,
have
Happy, too. Tell me a little bit more, for those who don't know about Nepal culture, what's something that you can share about the culture?
Sure. So here's the thing. We have seven of the 10 tallest mountains in the world,
Yes,
but
you
we
do.
don't just have the mountain of heights. We have the mountain of hearts. And that's what I love seeing. It's one of the most warm countries that you'll ever be to. And the reason I say that is people don't have a lot of things, right? We're not the best in almost any economic metrics or any of that stuff. But it's one of the countries that has the warmest heart of people. We have people coming in from tons of cultural backgrounds. So if you think of Nepal, most people assume it's mountains. I come from
Mm.
a part which has 45 degrees Celsius of heat sometimes, right? I
Wow.
have never seen a negative temperature in my life. We have none of that. So a fun thing to share about Nepal is we have three areas. We are not just about mountains. We have hills, we have plain lands. And yeah, along with that, there are a lot of fun people, tons of different cultures. What else? It's a beautiful, fun country. And guess what? So I can tell you this. I think I've told you already, but we have people who live in the mountains in Nepal.
Yeah.
And if you are walking around the people from like like people from Nepal, we wouldn't be able to recognize that you're not from Nepal. There is that similarity. So what I'm going to do is when we meet and thrive, I'm going to bring you a Nepalese hat. We call it a Dhaka topi. So
Right.
you go around, you'll be like one of them. You'll be one of us.
Outstanding. I will definitely use that because I'm going to see Happy here in just a few days. He's heading to Thrive, which is National Speakers Association's winter conference, as he's one of the valuable sponsors there. So, Happy, let's talk social media, right? Short form video. Let's pretend like I don't know anything about short form video and I'm a top speaker. Why don't you tell me, like, what's the value of short form video? And what do you do that you think is unique versus other people?
Sure. So the easiest way to answer this, John, is if you are if you're going out there to buy a car, you're going to have a test drive before you drive the car. If you're going out to buy a mattress, you'll try to bump in and see if it is good enough. Unless you're trying to get a bubble wrap, you are going to go out there and test your things before you buy it. As a speaker, even before you get on stage, number one thing that short form videos does is it gets you visibility with new people finding out about you, because for the first time in the history of social media, all the platforms are promoting one form of content, and that's vertical short form content in the highest amount in comparison to any other format content. LinkedIn, which is a professional place, was forced into start putting these short form vertical videos because it's so much in trend. The other first thing is, of course, new visibility coming up for speakers. You need it because people find out about you that way now. The second is, here's the thing, meeting planners stalk you before they hire you. So no matter how amazing, no matter what kind of marketing effort you're putting, they land up in your website, watch your demo video, they are going to see your socials before they hire you. And that social, like, they go on a spree of checking out more of your content, and the higher quality short form videos you have of yourself, it leads to much more higher chances of conversion. And the third thing is, it's like, basically, because you're already connected to a ton of people in your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they find more about your work, and yeah, you get multiple touch points with potential meeting planners that you might be already connected with, or connections that might lead to events, and that helps out in that way as well. I say it, I love saying it, John, like, getting speaking opportunities is like getting to date, right? You can't make kids on the first go. You have to engage with people. You have to build that relationship. You have to
Yeah.
keep giving in and out. There are periods where you're not talking with that person, and then you start dating, then you get married, and boom, that's when you have kids after a certain amount of time if everything works out well. So when you consistently put videos out there, you are warming up the process to get your babies, which is speaking engagements, using your videos or the help of videos helping land those big engagements.
Outstanding, Happy. Thank you so much for that. We talk about engagement here all the time too. And there are, of course, plenty of videos of people going, oh, do my 62-step program to like get a billion views. What engages? What do you, from your seat, feel like engages now the audience, which are, more and more who are swiping through videos? What do you think is the key piece of engagement?
I would start by saying that, John, as a speaker, if you're trying to put videos, view is not the primary metric. And here's why I say that, if you want to get viral and get a billion views, you can just get do something really weird and you can get views, right? As a speaker, when you show up in social media, the goal is not just to, like, land the most amount of views. Of course that's helpful, I'm not saying it's not, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to portray yourself as a speaker on stage, right? Most
Mm.
speakers now put videos, one, like, most people don't video, most speakers don't put videos. Some who do have them filmed on camera that they are putting out there, but we want to be able to show people that you've spoken on a lot of different stages in every single video that you put out there. So putting in snippets of different stages that you're a part of, showing
Mhm.
in that you're a consistent speaker, having your branding come up consistent, those are the things that are more important than views for a speaker, because we are very unique brands. You're not selling the product, you are the product. You're not selling a drop shipping course, you
Right.
are the person who's being sold. So making sure you don't compromise your brand for the sake of views is something that is very, very important. That said, when you give the most amount of value with the right hooks in the beginning, I can go into more technical details. People are going to watch your videos, because it's basically, hey, I got value. I want to share it to more people, and then more people get value, and that's what lead to engagements over time with visibility as well.
All right, Happy. So, wait, when did you start your company?
I started this business about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, let's go backwards to 2020. So I want to know what was Happy doing in March of 2020, right, as a global pandemic broke out. I'm just curious, what was happening for you and what were you thinking at the time?
So back then, Happy was a little 17, 18-year-old kid who was trying to figure out life as it is, right? But here's the thing. Before I even started doing all of that, and I'm going to do this as well while I say that, before I was doing all of that, I was a public speaking coach for students. I was a motivational speaker for students. I was a student who went through bullying, who went through a lot of stuff, and then I started speaking as a profession. So while I
Mhm.
was doing all of that for myself, I was helping other speakers over time, much later do it. It did not happen to be. I just created this business because I needed, felt the need for it. There you go. So what the reason I started this business primarily, and to answer your question back because I lost you, sorry, was I was running a TV show in Nepal's national television. I was connecting with amazing people around the world and listening to their stories. And I
Mhm.
was running my trainings online with students around the world. I had more than 4,000 paid students on my public speaking training programs that I used to run online.
Wow. And so, as the pandemic hit, then what did you do? Did television stay as a viable format, or did you have to change what you were doing?
To be honest, I was one of the lucky ones who was only benefited with in terms of business with what happened with the pandemic. The reason is I used to do trainings and programs for students, and I used to do it around my city, around my country, other
Mhm.
places around the world. And when it turned virtual, there were a ton of people going out to attend webinars because they had nothing to do. So I had webinar funnels that I used to run to get students. I used to provide free workshops, then trainings and stuff. So I was one of the lucky ones who had something positive happen. And with the TV show, instead of filming it from the studio, I was filming it from my home studio. So that still did the job.
What are some of your top tips for people on virtual then? Since you got television experience, what were some of the things that you shared with other people as they just got online sometimes for the first time?
I think a big piece of trying to do things online, let's say in terms of speaking to start with, right, is to realize that you are not speaking to a bunch of people online, but to feel like you're speaking to one person. That's a very easy way to go about it. Like, I'm talking to John, I'm not talking to 319 or 37 or 3 or 3,500 people who are watching this, right? That's a mindset shift that is really helpful for me, right? The second thing
Mhm.
is, I would suggest that you never have a background that is not ready, like I had right now, that just fall off. That's something that you should be careful about when you're trying to get your virtual setting right. A few other tips that were useful for me is more important than even your video quality is your lighting. Your camera cannot perform well unless you have a decent lighting. If you don't have the right lights, it's not going to help you out. Yeah, those are a few quick ones that I can think on top of my head.
Well, I'm excited because I got this new product. It was a light because I bought the new Elgato prompter. And so this is like a miniature panel light. I was carrying
Mhm.
a ring light around, but this is much smaller and it comes with its own tripod. And as you can see, I'm fixing my lighting here in this side here where I got some natural side lighting on this side, right, and then
Yeah,
fixing it with this light over here. I
I
agree.
love it.
Lighting is something that's so important. That you really, when you get it wrong, it's really wrong. That's all I can say with that.
Yeah.
Is that look
This is
about how
what
did it
I
get to me?
use as well when I travel. So it's like, I think it's out of battery right now. It's like this
Yeah, but
little.
the LED panel, the LED panel. So those things, and having a travel kit now too, because now the world is back open up. Happy has seen my 17 friggin' screens in my house, and just knowing that lighting is pretty good. And when you travel, then again you have to change all these scenarios. Like people don't know like some of the simplest tricks I was using like over 10 years ago, like just pulling the lampshade off of a light and sticking it behind the computer is better than nothing because at least you're getting light and a light from a single source. So it's interesting. Thanks so much for that, Happy. Let's see, what is the other part? So when you're presenting, right? So Happy, since you're a motivational speaker and you speak to, especially to lots of students, what are the things that you do to keep those, especially students? Because I get a lot of complaints from academic people, either they're getting black screens or they're getting like nobody's there, right? So what do you do with students to come back in and how do you keep them engaged?
What's been really helpful for me, and I did it like this is coming in from somebody I've done virtual engagements with more than 4,000 students, especially during COVID times, right? What really worked for me is I had an accent associated that was between me and my students. So I
Yeah.
had this thing that when I initially start my keynote or my workshop or session, I have some quick, fun, quick, icebreaker, and then I make people, hey, there are certain promises that we're going to make with each other. The first is pin drop silence throughout the class. Are we okay with it? Yes or no? Just type in the comments or say it. We're going to be completely silent throughout the workshop. Is that okay? And then everyone goes, yes. I'm like, no, that's not okay. We're going to have fun today. So every single time I ask you, how are you? You're going to say, I'm a champion. And if there's anyone who's not raising their fist and saying we are champions, I'm going to understand that there's something wrong with your arms, or something like that, based on what the student category is, what my relation is. I can go
Mm.
far out to make more funny or let's say more uncomfortable jokes that could be for some people. And they're like, if you don't raise your hand, I'm going to understand that A, B, C. And then that creates a trigger that, a ton of people then opens and like, who are we? Like, we are champions, and that's something that's always been helpful for me in my workshop. So that's one little thing that I do that has been like impactful.
Yeah, I just gave a class recently and a professor said that only one person in the remote class showed up out of like 20 or more. And by the way, Nicole Smith is online with us on Facebook. Hi, Nicole. And she's just saying, and diffuse light, right? Having diffuse light as opposed to like strong, bright light is
Yep.
obviously better. Going back to
Yep.
that though, she came back and she said this. She said, there's only one person. And she asked me, it's like, what should I do? Should I like start giving demerits for people who aren't there? And I'm like, well, those things like rarely work. And I said, what about this? What about this? Why don't you send an email to the entire class, right? And just say, in the last class, I gave all the secrets to the final. It's going to be amazing, right? And it's like, you should really check out Happy. Happy was there, and now Happy has all the answers, right? And just hit send on the email,
That's
and
yeah,
just
that's
give
one way.
just massive FOMO for those who
Yeah.
are missing out. And she also said too, it was not recorded. So like you got to be there in this class. Like
Yeah.
that's actually a case where you can make it more engaging by not recording. That's funny. I don't know. Do you have any other tactics or story? Do you have a story, for instance, of like one of your favorite virtual programs over the last couple of years?
I have so here's the thing, right? I have spoken to students that are coming in from very different cultural backgrounds. If I'm speaking to a school group in Canada and Toronto, and then I'm speaking to a school group in a remote part of India, the
Yeah.
cultural context is a whole lot different, right?
Yeah.
So when
Mm.
I was speaking more often in South Asia in the beginning, right? And I
Hmm.
was funny as heck, and then like I was doing well, and then I had my keynote set up, and I was funny. I had jokes that work well and that are authentic. And then I went to the Canadian audience. I'm like, damn, it's not landing. No one is laughing. What's wrong with me? So I realize is contextualizing what you're saying to the audience is something that is a whole lot different. Like you don't know who Rajesh Hamal is. Only I know because I come from Nepal, right?
Right.
But if I talk about, Tom Hanks, some kid in Nepal might not know about it, right? So
Right.
basically, trying to make sure you're contextually catching up on where you're speaking towards, like doing some research about what would be relevant, is
Yes.
something that works really, really well. And yeah, that helps like get engaged. And the other thing is, like when you start your engagement, it's always like planned up, and this is what I'm going to speak, and this is what my training is going to be about. But then just taking the time to like find some spaces of humor, like something funny is happening every single day, right? I
Mhm.
literally did not realize I wore my mom's trousers and walked around for 2 days, and my mom's trousers I was literally wearing the other way around, like the pockets were on the back side instead, right? And I can literally go into the keynote and think, I just realized 15 minutes ago that I'm doing this. And that's like people say, hey, this is someone who's human. He's not coming in or prepared. And just, finding those spaces and to spend time learning humor is super helpful to make any kind of interaction engaging for that matter.
Genius. All right, well, let's look a little to the future, Happy, right? First off, what do you think is the future of virtual meetings in the speaking realm?
I would say technically I might not be the most let's say expert person to talk about it. You are
Sure,
the one who has the best answer for this, I think,
of course.
Everyone knows John has the answer, right? I can tell you what's the I would be more qualified to talk about let's say the future of videos for social media. I can put in some thoughts that I have as someone who's witnessing things from the outside, saying, hey, people are still going to engage virtually because there are going to be newer cultural experiences that we want to bring. We want to bring in, and like I want to bring an expert of childhood education to Nepal, and the only way it's affordable to do is just bring them virtually, right? So those are spaces and ways that the reason I think they're still going to exist. But I'd love for you to give your 2 cents to the amazing people who are listening to this right now.
Well, the future of virtual, I think one part, I think there's three things coming up. One is virtual speakers still need to take care of virtual. I think that uh, one, it can either be a filler, meaning that in between your in-person gigs that virtual is a key place that you can really engage people. You can do it with no travel and expenses. A few speakers have found ways to monetize virtual really, really well, right? Like let's take Sherry. So I'm going to give a shout out to Sherry Levitan. She has used her in-person speaking to create virtual masterminds that are really doing good things for her business. So that's one. I think the second one is the technology is going to move somewhere. And soon, Happy, right? Well, hopefully that you and I might have this experience like we're sitting together, whether, we put the place in Nepal or in America or something in between, where we can actually up the engagement, in virtual. And I think the third thing that's going to happen is that the tools for engagement are going to get better because look, we have all this technology. Like right now, you're getting video frames of me and you and the chat and all. We have all this data, and I think engagement tools could use that to our advantage and do things like, your student audience is checking out now. You better like change it up now. Even right now, our good friends at Udly have a tech that can listen to me in real time and tell me if I am, if I'm like excessively putting filler words inside of this talk or not, and give me instant reminders to like, hey, you should stop saying. So some small things like that. I think that it's going to grow, and I would love to see technology help people be better speakers. So that's
I
really
love
the
it.
key.
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. We're into the speed round today, Happy. So while we've been talking, I've been writing customized questions just for you. So your job is to try and answer these questions as fast as possible. Are you ready for the speed round, Happy?
Let's do it.
Okay, ready? The thing that makes you most happy.
Meeting people and listening to stories.
Aw, your favorite social media platform.
I love Reddit.
Oh, that was not what I was expecting. Who is your
Yeah.
favorite comedian?
I really like. I'm forgetting the. I'm on the spot. Uh, uh, let's just say I really like Samay Raina.
Okay, good. Best virtual conference you have ever attended?
I. That's a good question.
Jeopardy music.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I'll move ahead. I can't think on top of
Oh,
my
okay,
head.
I'll go to the other side. Best any conference you've ever attended.
I think I really enjoyed the CAPS convention in Costa Rica.
Oh, it was Costa Rica. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite speaker who engages you and you'd like to give a shout out to right now?
I would love to give a shout out to ton of our speaker friends, but I personally, among a ton of other speakers, really enjoyed Tim Gard because I've heard him in person.
Oh, Tim Gard. So funny. I found like one of those little rubber chickens and it was in my
Yeah,
pants in the laundry and it's because friggin' Tim Gard, that guy.
yeah. Because I've
So
heard him in person. He's one of the most engaging in-person speakers I've ever had. Like everyone was lost. Like we lost it.
that's a skill. That is a unique skill and talent that he has. Okay, last show question. Your favorite country that is neither Nepal nor America?
I really like Indonesia. I love Bali.
Ooh, Indonesia. I finally got to go to Indonesia after Singapore.
Yeah. I love Italy and Indonesia. Yeah.
Genius, genius. All right, Happy, here's the last question of the day. If you could get people to magically remember one thing from this podcast interview, what would it be?
You need to show up in videos because that's where all the audience is. Put out more videos of yourself out there in social media. The world needs to hear you.
Outstanding, Happy. Thank you so much. And Nicole Smith says, America isn't a country.
Okay, well, yeah. I love it.
Semantics. All right, cool. Happy, I'm going to see you in just a few days here in Orlando, Florida at NSA Thrives Conference. Thank you so much for this interview, and I can't wait to see you and be happy with Happy.
Appreciate you taking the time. I enjoyed our conversation. It's 11:03 p.m. while we talk, so it was fun to be fun before I sleep.
Outstanding. Thanks again, Happy. All right, oh, let's see. This is oh, look, I gave Happy the spotlight. Let's see. Whoa. Uh, I lost my spotlight. I'm gonna just bring you back. Hold on, let's see. Oh, did I lose all the spotlights? No. Oh, I know why there's only two things in here. Even your piece went off. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Happy. So this is John Chen, and now, thank you. We've been talking with Happy here at the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, and he's saying you got to be on video. So think about where are you going to be on video this week, and what are you going to do with it? And speaking of which, I was on video this week for the NSA, National Speakers Association's Northwest Speakers Showcase, which is on March 15th. You can watch anywhere in the world virtually, or you can come to Seattle and see it at the Broadway Performance Hall, where we're going to showcase 15 speakers. That's the last video that I made. Thanks again. Look forward to seeing you next time here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast.
Drawing star people and keep